those loyal few who subscribe to this channel and come back for more are probably pretty aware that I am a huge fan of Chivalry 2. This game totally caught me off guard. I bought it, I played it, I loved it. I can't get enough of it, and I'm going to get even more of it now because as of yesterday, we got patch 2.1.0, known as the Desecration of Galencourt, and it also includes an arena mode. And I'm super excited to play through one of the new objective-based maps that came out with it, the actual Desecration of Galencourt. That's actually the name of the map. The Mason army lays brutal siege on the great walled city of Galencourt in the seat of the Gathian Church. So, like most of the levels and objectives in this game, this one is going to have you going through multiple areas to slowly lay siege to this church and kind of working your way systematically through destroying things and breaking things and desecrating, obviously. Most of it really does just boil down to the same mechanics that were in the other game, the other levels in the game, but it's still fun. There's still more stuff to do, and it's still a blast. Most of it traditionally involves you either destroying something or having more of your players in a particular zone than the enemy, and obviously the best way to do that is via combat. Killing the enemy players, pushing them out of the way so that you slowly tick the needle in your favor to ultimately do something. Slight variance on this one. I noticed this is the first map that actually includes some light destruction. You actually get to see that here in a few minutes, where we actually destroy a building and it becomes a pile of rubble that you can walk over. The animation's janky as hell. I'm playing this game at a lock 60 frames a second. I swear the animation is like 10 frames a second. I'm sure they'll work on it. I would love to see, just as an aside, I would love to see the Battlefield 4 Levolution system, which to me is the greatest game design in any game I've ever played. I would love to see that brought in here. I would love to see catapults actually destroy walls and allow you to create holes to go through. You can alternatively use catapults to launch your friends and yeet them into combat, which I'll do in a minute, unfortunately very horribly. So what else does this, this latest free DLC include? Well, it also has a new free-for-all map, which is the courtyard. So you're actually seeing me run through the courtyard most of the time, so there's not much of excitement here, but they did add a small area for you to basically have your free-for-all, and that's not objective-based. That's just play until you get X kills. You know, each team I think is like 200 stock. There's my horrible attempt. I broke my legs. Yeah, so that's just a 200 or like a 200 or 250 point kill. The other thing that they added, which I checked out, was the arena mode, which is a 3v3 deathmatch. Now, this is actually a really cool mode because it allows you to practice. This game is incredibly complex, and it probably doesn't look that way when I'm playing it. It probably looks like I am just swinging my sword wildly, blocking wildly, but there's a lot to it. There's different types of attacks that have different counters. You have to position your character differently. You have to swing through attacks. You are basically fed through this via a fire hose at the first 15 minutes of the game. I would bet most people playing now probably couldn't remember all the button mechanics in this game because there are a lot. Doesn't mean to say you can't play it as a hack and slash. You absolutely can, and I recommend you doing that because you're going to have the most fun running around and swinging like a madman or mad woman. However, there is a deep mechanic to it, and I feel like this 3v3 arena mode is a great place to hone in on those skills because you really get rid of the zerging effect in this game. You'll see a lot of times running into combat isn't always the most lucrative choice. A lot of times it's better to be a weasel and just to stand behind people and allow them to... Look at this guy. He falls and he dies. He dies because that water, you fall in the water and you die. GG's, bro. Sometimes you're going to just run up behind people and swing and try to hit them in the back. And while that's fine and fun and you can totally do that and win great games, particularly if you're playing with your friends, although none of my friends want to play this with me. I don't know why. I think, honestly, if you want to get better at that 1v1 combat, this is going to be a great place to do it. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Now they've also added some other things too, some quality of life changes, and there are a list of them. I'm not going to read through all of them, but they have increased, some of the performance of the game, some of the mechanics, some of the UI bugs, some of the graphics bugs, input bugs, whatever. These are things you would expect, and they've done a pretty good job, I think, of keeping the game playable since day one. Does it have its share of faults? Absolutely. I think that's what makes some of the fun in it. The other big mechanic they added, which you'll see me switch over to for just a couple minutes, I'm not a big fan of it, is Archery. Archery now has the arrow cam. So basically, when you are shooting an arrow, it used to just, obviously, you would loose the arrow and it'd be gone. Now you can actually press a button combination and basically put your camera on the arrow. And you can watch the arrow fly through combat and potentially hit people. Now, I actually pulled this off a few times where I actually hit a sniper in the face on a balcony with this really cool arrow shot, and it's just not that satisfying. It hits him, it puts the little red X, the same little red X you see when I do damage. I think I hit him for like 80 something damage. He doesn't die. And then it just goes back to my character. It's not very exciting or climactic. Not that I would expect it to be something like VATS or even something like Sniper Elite, because it's a multiplayer game. So while you're doing this action and watching the arrow fly through the sky, your character is just standing there like a goober. So I understand that they can't get overly crazy on some of the cinematics. That said, it's a little weird that they would even kind of put this in there, and then it needs to be fleshed out more. I don't know if arrows need to do more damage, which I would say no, as somebody who's constantly getting sniped. But I don't know if arrows need to do more damage or if they need to kind of rethink how that system works. But I thought this system would have a bigger impact for people, and honestly, it doesn't seem like it does. The other big thing they added, for me at least, is female armor skins, which is nice. Now, I haven't really done a whole ton of customization with any of my characters. I'm mostly just playing and leveling up my weapons, trying to unlock everything for the knight class, which is my favorite because I like having a sword board. So I'm just kind of working my way through that. So I'm pretty much like the default guy. I think I upgraded my sword maybe once. I don't remember. But as you guys know, huge fan of playing with female characters. So I'm excited that they've added a lot of new female armor skins. I thought they were really lacking, and they made a point of saying female specifically, which I think is good. So I'm looking forward to jumping into that and finally doing some customization now that I think I've hit, I don't know what level I am, but I feel like I have enough money now that I can get the look that I want. There's also new weapons and shield skins, of course. A lot of them are themed in the new game, which is great because I just blew a bunch of money on one. I gotta start leveling up all over again. They've also added monks. So the monks are insane, and I actually get destroyed by a monk towards the end of this game. They just hit so hard. When you spawn in, a lot of times you're obviously going to spawn in as one of the 4 predetermined classes. However, you can play as peasant characters. So there's like nobles that run around, there's farmers, and now there are monks, which is pretty cool. So if you're digging the monk and you want to just have fun with a big two-hander, you can. And like I said, I get absolutely demolished. As a matter of fact, I jump over the balcony and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm going to just get in here and do some crazy fighting and we'll be fine. And this monk just totally one-shots me, and it totally caught me off guard. And you'll see a little bit of that later as we progress through this match. So I have to say, overall, I think this is great. One, because it's free, right? There's no, you're not paying for this. It's just included in the game. But it's nice to see that they continue some of the customizations and that they're continuing to at least dabble with some of the new mechanics. You know, I would love to see them introduce new mechanics into this game. And it seems like they're getting there, which is good. Anything that has to do with, like, explosions or breaking things or radically changing the map is really appreciated. Some of the most fun of this game is ultimately in finding and defending key choke points, whether you're on attack or defense. You know, having your shielded guys standing on the front lines with archers and spears kind of shooting over the top of them, which is great. But it also, I think, there's a big part of it that as the battlefield dynamically changes, how radically the players can adapt and move to a new area to kind of you know, change the way the battle is laid out. That's where I think this game would really solidify itself and break away from the mold of some of the other sword and board type games like Mount and Blade or War of the Roses or some of those other ones out there. Well, I always talk about War of the Roses lovingly, but I know that game's like practically dead. But you get the idea. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I would love to see. I think that would be really, really cool. So the fact that we are starting to get the idea, we're like, okay, we're going to place explosives under this, and you're going to see it up here in a minute. We're going to place explosives underneath a stone arch, which initially you can walk around. We're going to destroy it, and now it's going to be a pile of rubble. Think like Siege of Shanghai in Battlefield 4. And now that point isn't an actual like point you stand under, it's something you walk over the top. Very basic example. Like I said, it's rendered kind of awkwardly. I just happen to be front row center when the thing goes down. But it gives me hope that maybe we'll see more of that. And I would love to see maybe naval combats where, you know, two ships are fighting each other, and as you're manning cannons and as you're manning weapons, you're destroying parts of the enemy ship, which allow you new places to board or new places to kind of jump on. I think that would be really, really neat. And if they want to stay away from that, that's fine. But I feel like that's something we could totally see that gets improved. I believe after this next spawn, you will see me switch over to a archer class, just so you can see this mechanic I was talking about. I'm not the best shot, so keep that in mind. But I wanted you to at least see kind of what it looks like, and if you're a fan of that, then you'll probably have fun. I play with an Xbox controller, so the inputs are a little slower, more methodical though. Definitely, I feel like I like the vibration aspect of it. It's got a good feel to it when you hit things. But your movement is definitely much more methodical than with a keyboard and mouse. So if you're really good with keyboard and mouse, you're really a twitchy kind of shooter, you play a lot of sniping games and you're really good at it, you guys know I'm a horrible sniper. I'm one of the worst snipers ever. You may have a lot more fun with the bow and arrow than I did. But here you can see when you shoot the bow, it's a 2-button combination, and then your camera will actually, you know, basically swap. And all I'm doing here is trying to do some long shots. That was a hit, by the way. Not very exciting, right? You know, all I'm trying to do here is to just show that, you know, if you shoot it at range, you're going to be able to kind of follow the camera. Now, the weird thing is, when you shoot this, it's like, yeah, see there, look at that. That was a big impactful hit, right? Nope. The weird thing is I think this system will not work at all on close range shots because there's no way the camera is going to be able to snap fast enough to a target. So I just wanted to show that off, and I'll do a quick jump cut here just to show you the very end of the level where I get destroyed by the monk, so stand by. Alright, so here's a little jump cut to the end of the map. Basically, you're inside the tomb at this point. This is a pretty traditional looking castle. We've seen this from some of the other levels. I decided to run around the top because I thought there wouldn't be anybody here. There was a guy here who backs up and falls off the staircase, and I just kind of laughed as I just watched him. Like, okay. So I jumped down, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to capture the point from the backside. This is going to be great. There's a couple monks in here. I'm like, oh, great. This is going to be fodder. And just instantly gets destroyed. So, like I said, the monks are actually very, very powerful. Jump cut again to the end, and I'll wrap up here. But I just want to say this is awesome. This is so much fun. If you're not playing this game, don't sleep on it. It's really a lot of fun. I love it. I play it a lot. I stream it a lot. I'm definitely not the best at it, but I think I can hold my own in most combat situations. And I really like that this game constantly feels like no two levels are ever the same, no two situations are ever the same. When you have so many human players on one map, hijinks will absolutely ensue. So check it out, play it, enjoy it, laugh, get your friends on, get my friends on to play with me because they're bums. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.